Hello, everyone. Hi, can you see and hear me okay? Please just type in the chat if you can see and hear me okay. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Hi. Where are you calling from today? What country are you from? Hello from South Africa, Italy, Turkey, Sri Lanka. Hello from India. Hello from Ethiopia, Pakistan. Hi from South Korea. Hello from Brazil, Azerbaijan. Hi, everyone. Hi, Gosku. Hi from Brazil. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. How is everybody today? How are you? Welcome back, Calipan. Good to see you. Hi from Greece. Hi from Brazil. Welcome. Hi. Good to see you today. Who here, type in the chat, who here was at my live session last Sunday, University Vocab Part 1? Who came to that session? Because today is Part 2. Yeah, today is Part 2. So you should know a lot from today. Awesome. Good to see you. I hope everyone is doing well and is healthy. Today is going to be our last session until, I believe, January 7th. Okay, so today will be our last session, and we start again January 7th, just to have a nice break for the holidays. Is anyone doing something for the holidays this year? Okay. Well, as you know, last Sunday we had Part 1 of University Vocabulary. Today is Part 2. If you didn't see Part 1, you can go rewatch it on our YouTube channel, on Cambly's YouTube channel. And if you join late today, you can rewatch Part 2. All right? Well, let's get started. Happy Saturday, everyone. I hope you're having a great weekend. Today, we are doing University Vocabulary Part 2. Let's get started. Okay, if you were here last week, can you tell me what are the 4 levels of study? This is in higher education. What are the 4 different levels of study in higher education? So after high school, what are the 4 levels? Does anyone know? It's right here. The 4 levels of study would be freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. Okay, this is in your high school or bachelor's degree. And we learned that last week. Now, my next question, if you remember from last week, what is the main area of study called? So there's 2 areas of study in your bachelor's degree. You have your main and your second. Your main study is called your major. Remember, this is your first study, your big study, what you want to do for work. And your minor is your secondary study. Maybe it's an interest or a hobby. Okay? Another question. What is the abbreviation for a master's in business administration? So, what's the short version of Masters in Business Administration? Yes, this is a very popular master's degree. It's an MBA. So, people say MBA more than Masters of Business Administration. So, for example, I could say, where did you get your MBA? Or do you have your MBA? Okay. What is a thing or animal that represents a school and brings school pride? So it's a thing and it dresses up in a costume and it comes to a football match and it cheers. What's that called? It's called a mascot. Mascot. Yeah, mascot like a bear. Sometimes it's a food. I believe one mascot is a corn, just a corn. So there's many funny mascots. Okay, what major or minor is uses techniques to bring attention to a product or service? This is an area of study. It could be a major or a minor, and they use techniques to bring attention to a product or service in business. hmm I would say the major is called advertising. You could also say marketing, marketing or advertising. Which major designs or constructs buildings? They design and construct buildings. hmm This is called architecture, and the career or the job is an architect. Architecture. What is the study of money, currency, and capital assets? This is a major in the Department of Business. So what would that be? This is finance. Finance. Good. What is the name of the 2-year degree that you get after high school? It's the most basic level of higher education. And if you need a hint, I have some back here. Right after high school, you could either get your associate's or your bachelor's. So it would be your associate's degree because it's 2 years. It's 2 years. We also call an associate's degree community college. Community college. What major is the study of human past? Yes, this is history. We do have a question from studying English with Mengdong. It says, what is the difference between architect and architecture? Architecture is the study of buildings, and then an architect is the name of the job. So an architect works as an architect. Does that make sense? Okay. I have a few more questions here. What is the study of promoting and selling products and services? So they do a lot of promoting. Yes, this is marketing. This is marketing. And that is a very popular major, very. What is the study of the mind and behavior? What's the study of the mind and behavior? This is called psychology. Psychology. And it's spelled interesting, but it's pronounced psychology. Psychology. P-S-Y. Psychology. What is the study of animals? What do you study if you love animals? This is zoology. Zoology. Yes. You could also go to vet school or veterinarian school, Antonio, if you want to be a veterinarian. Yeah, that too. That would be a doctorate degree. What is the study of teaching? What is the study of teaching? This is education. Yeah, if you want to be a teacher, you study education. Okay, last question. What is another name to call a third-year student? So this student is in their third year. What are they called? We have freshman, sophomore, junior, and then we have senior. Awesome. Okay, now that we have had some trivia from last week, we are going to learn some new stuff for part 2. As we know, university means higher education. College is what we say in America, in the United States. So college is the same thing as university. Okay, so university is a higher education institution where people study or do research. You go to a higher education system to get your degree. So you go to school to get your degree, and when you have your degree, you can find a job. And there are 3 types of degrees. Okay. We have there's 4 types. There's 4 types of degrees: associates, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. Your bachelor's degree is going to be the most common, and it's the first degree for people studying at a university. An associate's degree, you get this at community college. We call this community college because it's smaller, and you get your associate's degree, which is 2 years after high school. So after high school, you could go to either community college and get your associate's degree, or you could go to college or university and get your bachelor's degree. Okay? Who remembers COVID of 2019 or COVID 2020? Do you guys remember COVID? Yes. During COVID, who had to take an online or remote course? So instead of going in person to learn, you had to take an online or remote course. So you would go to class on your computer. This is a course where students learn at home and communicate with the teachers on the internet. This right here on Cambly, this is a remote or online course, right? It's an online class. So for a doctorate degree, something popular is called medical school. Medical school is where people go to study medicine, to get their PhD or their doctorate. Sorry. It's also common for people to go to law school. Law school is a doctorate degree. It's the highest degree. And people go here after graduating their bachelor's degree To become lawyers. So you go to law school to become a lawyer. Okay? Education is what you study if you want to be a teacher. Okay? I like this one. This is called a graduation ceremony or a commencement. For short, you could just say graduation. During a commencement, it's a ceremony where you receive your degree. And so typically we wear the cool outfit with the hat and we celebrate. So when you graduate, you move your tassel and then you throw your hat up in the air and it's a celebration. How do you celebrate your commencement in your country? So how do you celebrate your commencement, or what do you wear? You can type in the chat. Okay, this is called a dormitory, and the short version is dorm or dorm room. A dormitory is a large building where students live. So they live in a dorm near university and go to classes. Do you have dormitories in your country, or do you stay at home with your family? It's common in the United States for people to live in a dormitory, and they have a roommate. Yeah, a student room for people to live. Thank you. Okay, our next word is advisor. An advisor basically gives you advice on what classes to take at university. So it's a person who assists students in planning their education. So you meet with your advisor and you plan your education. What classes to take, when to take them. Okay, good. Diploma. Diploma is another word for degree. Your diploma is a document that your university gives you when you finished your degree. So at your graduation ceremony, someone will hand you your diploma. Yes, your diploma. Diploma. I have a question. Type in the chat. Where did you get your diploma? What university? Where did you get your diploma? I got my diploma from 2019. In 2019 from Stanford University. Okay. Where did you get your diploma? You can type in the chat. So I got my diploma in the year from the university. No, I did not graduate from Stanford. This is an example. This is just an example. Awesome. I am still studying. Okay, cool. Nice. Yes, this is just an example. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, you could also say, I got my master's degree in 2020 from blank university. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Okay, this word might scare some of you. Exam or examination. This is a formal test of students' knowledge or skill in a particular subject. Do you like exams or do you not like exams? I do not like exams. I think they're scary. But there are some different types of exams or tests. And here are the different types of tests. We have a quiz, which is a small or short test worth less points. A test, this is like a medium test, and it's typically about a theme worth more points. An exam is a big test worth more points. And then we have something called a midterm. A midterm is in the middle of your course, so the middle of your class. You take a test of everything you learned from here until here. So that's your midterm. Your final exam is everything you learned from your midterm till the end of the course. So midterm, everything you learn, and then final exam at the end. Your final exam and your midterm is the most points. So these are the scariest exams. Yes. Is this how you do it in your country? You take your quiz, test, exam, midterm, and final exam. A midterm is also an exam. Yes, a midterm is an exam, and then a final exam is an exam. Yes, it's a nightmare for students. Yes. Oh, okay, interesting. Thank you for sharing. This word curriculum. This is the subject that students are included in a course of study or college at a university. So curriculum is what you study in a course. So the curriculum for Cambly would be English, right? Dissertation. Dissertation is the paper written at the end of your master's degree. So your master's degree, if you want to receive your master's degree, you have to complete and pass your dissertation. Dissertation. Yes, another word is like thesis, right? Dissertation. It's like a final project dissertation. And again, that's for your master's degree. Next, we have the word faculty. Faculty are the people who work at the university. So your teacher would be a faculty. What else? Maybe your advisor is a faculty. Yes, it's the employees of the university. Is it common to use graduate course or postgraduate course to talk about minors as well, or are they different things? So typically we only use major and minor when talking about your bachelor's degree. It is not common for master's or doctorate degree. Okay. Next, we have course. Okay, there's two types of courses. There's an online or remote course from your computer, and then an in-person course where you go in person and you learn from your teacher. So this is a series of lessons on a particular subject, usually ends with an exam course. Another word is department. Department is a section of a college or university that deals with an area of study. So for example, they have like the history department or the humanities department. At university, I studied Spanish, so my department was the foreign languages department. You could have engineering department. You could have the business department. Yeah. I like this word, campus. Campus are the buildings that surround a university or college. So the buildings, the land, campus. Campus. Department could be the name of your major or study, but for example, if you have a smaller university, department could be many majors. So if you study English or Spanish or French, the department is not called the Spanish department, it's the foreign language department. So not always the name of the major. Anyway, with campus, what is your campus like in your country? You could also say, what is your college campus like? I'm sure you've seen movies in the United States about college campus, but my college campus is huge. It's near downtown, and there's many buildings, and there's always something going on. And everyone likes to spend time on campus. The dormitories are on campus. If you meet someone in university, you can ask them, do you live on or off campus? This means, do you live on the university campus where the buildings are, or a little further away? So if you live at home, you live off campus. If you live in a dormitory, you live on campus. Okay? What is something popular on campus is the dining hall. The dining hall is a large room in the university where people eat together. Okay, so that's the dining hall. Sorry, I have allergies. Okay, our next word is enroll. Enroll is to officially join a course. So you can enroll in a class. Enroll. Lecture. Lecture is the activity when students make notes and listen to the lecturer. Lecture. This is kind of like a lecture. Lecture. Prerequisite. This is a hard word. Prerequisite. Prerequisite. This is a class that you need to take in order to take another class. So for example, in order to take statistics 2, the prerequisite is to take statistics 1. So the prerequisite to enroll in statistics 2 is that you've already taken statistics 1. That's the prerequisite. Fail. Fail is when you don't pass a class. You get 50% or less, which is an F. That's fail. The opposite is pass. This is when you succeed. Yes, fail is every student's nightmare. It's good to pass. And I think you only need a D to pass. Yes, a D to pass. I think this is just an American thing, but we have something called homecoming. Homecoming is basically a celebration for former students held annually by a university or college. So let's say you went to a university and you already got your degree, you graduated, you are at work, right? But once a year, they have homecoming where all the alumni, all the people who graduated, come back to the university and they all have a big party. And there's a football game, there's tailgates. Okay, next word is financial aid. Financial aid is the money given to a student to help for them to attend university. Next is GPA, or grade point average. This is the average of a student's grade during a course. We call this GPA, grade point average. So for example, my GPA this year is a 3.7. So the highest you could get is a 4 GPA, or grade point average. Yes, financial aid is like a scholarship. I am from the United States. Hi. Okay, yeah. You could also talk about your GPA as a percent. All right, we have instructor. An instructor is someone who teaches a class, a part of the faculty. Okay. Let's see. We have lecturer. If you're in a lecture, a class where they teach, the person teaching is called a lecturer. Lecturer. Yeah, you could also say instructor, teacher, or lecturer. GPA, or grade point average, is what you use to describe the total of a student's grade. So the total of all their classes they've taken, what their final grade is, if that makes sense. Professor. Professor is a university teacher. Professor. Typically, professors have to have their PhD. Research. What is research? Research is a careful and detailed study of a subject in order to discover new facts. So people go to university to do research or to study. And it's common to do research if you study your doctorate degree. Fraternity, or frat. Fraternity is the social organizations at an American university. This is for boys, and the girls is called sorority. Sorority is the same thing, a social organization, but for girls to make friends. Next word we have is session. Session is school for the university year, and there's 3 different types of sessions. We have quarters, or a quarter. This is when you have 4 terms in 1 year. The trimester is 3 terms in 1 year, and the semester is 2 terms in 1 year. I think that the semester is most common, but what do you use in your country? I use semester. What do you use? semester. So 2 semesters, trimester, quarter. Okay, awesome. So again, I think that the semester is the most common. And this is when there's one of the 2 periods that's divided at the university. So in 1 year, there's 2 semesters. Between semesters, this is my favorite, it's a break. We have fall break, winter break, and spring break. So it's either 1 to 2 weeks in college or university where you don't go to class. There's no classes. Do you have a break or a summer break, spring break in your country? Okay. Our next word is tutor. This is someone that will help you with a course. It could be another student or it could be someone older, but your tutor helps you. And Cambly, you have a Cambly tutor. So we're tutors. Roommate, or for short, roommate, is someone that you share your dormitory with. Yes, someone you share your dormitory with. Roommate or roomie. Typically, you just have one roommate, but if you live in a big house, you could have many roommates. Tuition. Tuition is the cost or the money you pay university for classes. Yes. I have a question. How much is university tuition in your country? In some countries, the tuition is free. You can go to university for free. In other countries, like the United States, tuition is very expensive. So how much is university tuition in your country? In my country, university tuition is $10,000 a year. It does depend on the college, yes. So how much is your university tuition? Yes. In some countries, it's very expensive. Yes. Okay. Thank you for sharing. If your tuition is too expensive and you don't have the money, you can get a student loan. This is when you borrow money to go to university, and then after you graduate, you pay your money back. That's a student loan. Okay. The difference between a teacher and a tutor. A teacher has the same students, it's multiple students, and they teach a course. So that could be a quarter, trimester, or semester. It's official. A tutor is typically one-on-one, and they help you with what you need help with. Versus a course is a teacher. A tutor is more one-on-one. A thesis. A thesis is the project at the end of your doctorate degree. Okay, we have textbook. A textbook is what you learn from, and it's a book that contains all the information about a subject at a university. Typically, we have to buy our textbooks. You study from your textbook, and then you take a test. Okay, let's see. We got a few more. So scholarship, you know how you have to pay tuition to go to a university? A scholarship you can win if you have good grades, and they will send you to university. They will give you money to go to university. It's common for people to receive scholarships for sports. If you're good at a sport, you can get a scholarship. You get money to go to a university. Mhm. Okay, last one, we have our transcript. When you get your degree, you get your transcript, and it is a record of the courses that you have taken with the marks or the grades you've received. Your transcript includes your GPA, which is everything you've received, all of your grades for the year. Okay, yeah, good. Any questions so far? We are almost done. We're just gonna play a little quiz, and you guys are gonna type in the chat your answers. So what is the meaning of the following definition? What do you call a 1 to 2 week break from college in spring? What's the name? What's the name of this break? Yes, it's called spring break. What is the name of a university student in their first year? This is called a freshman. Freshman. I think in the United Kingdom in England, it's called fresher. Fresher. But in the United States, we say freshman. What do you call a university student in their fourth year? Their fourth year. This is called a senior. Senior. Good. What would you call a 2-year program after high school? So you graduate high school, you could go to any of these. What would you call the one that's 2 years after high school? Yes, this is called an associate's degree. Associate's degree. A bachelor's degree would be 4 years. Good. Ooh, this is tough. What is a 4-year program after getting your bachelor's degree? So you get your bachelor's degree. What's the next level for 4 years? This is called your doctoral or your doctorate degree. You could also say your PhD. Good. You could say PhD. Now your master's would be 2 years. Your doctorate is 4 years. What is the name of the main subject, so the first subject that a student studies at college in your bachelor's degree? Your major, yes. And the second most important subject at a university for your bachelor's degree is a minor. Good job. You guys are awesome. What is the abbreviation, so the short version of Doctor of Philosophy? Doctor of Philosophy. PhD. PhD. A doctorate, PhD. What do you call the form of measurement that universities use to indicate how many credits a course is worth? This is hard. I think this is from last week, but this is called credit hours. So that's the measurement, yes. That's the measurement you use to determine how much a course is worth. Mhm. What is the acronym or the short version, abbreviation, sorry, for grade point average? Yes, this is GPA. And this is like your total grade or your total mark. What do you call the name of who you share your dorm room with or your dormitory? Yes, this is a roommate. Roommate or a roomie. Yes. What do you call the land or buildings at a university? That whole area. Yes, this is called a campus. University campus, college campus. Good. What do you call paying the university to enroll in classes? What's that payment called? That money. That is called tuition. Good. What would you call taking a college class online? This is an online or a remote course. Online or a remote course. What would you call an exam in the middle of a course? So this is your course. What do you call that exam right in the middle? This is called a midterm. Yes. Last but not least, what would you call a small test? Small test is a quiz. Awesome. All right, do you guys have any questions for me? Any questions? I had so much fun learning with you guys today. Thank you for joining our remote or online session this Saturday. We are taking a break for the holidays, so our next session will be on January 7th. So I will see you guys on Sunday, January 7th. Okay? All right. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. Have a great weekend. Bye. See you in 2024. Yeah, see you in 2024, guys. Bye.